welcome to a brand new episode of the EJ Tech Show. It's a brand new episode and we've also got a brand new phone. What are we doing this week? As if I didn't know, like we didn't discuss this beforehand at all, yeah, right?
You have no clue, right? Yeah. So this is the Vivo V20 SE. We had the Vivo V20 on the show a while back, which I reviewed, and this is the SE version. So now there's a wide variety of what SE means. For example, Realme calls it the special edition. Apple calls it something else altogether. This is more towards the Apple fence because it takes whatever the Vivo V20 has and then waters it down a bit to attain a lower price point.
So pretty much what a special edition phone does in general.
But like Realme didn't do that. Realme said no, 7 Pro is fine. Special edition, we're just going to give you a different color.
It's a different design. In this one, while it is a toned down, but it also feels like a very different phone altogether from the Vivo V20, especially when it comes to design. Now, this isn't a bad looking phone at all, but it's no Vivo V20 for sure. Especially in that sunset melody color, it was something
that was a beautiful
else altogether. Right?
Easily one of my most favorite looking phones of the year, hands down.
Now this gets a plastic back. It doesn't get that nice matte finish that the Vivo V20 got with the glass back as well. This is plastic and it has a very glossy finish, which means it will attract fingerprint smudges like there is no.
Not just fingerprints, it attracts dust, it'll attract everything, even in our footage. You'll see
this was one of the most toughest phones to shoot.
It just picks up dust like nothing else. You can clean it and wipe it as much as you like. It just loves dust. So I would recommend you use the plastic case that comes with it. Vivo's been kind enough to bundle one in the box.
It was needed.
It is definitely needed. And they also bundle in a screen protector, which is very good of them. Now, design-wise, this is 7.38 millimeters thin. And it is one of the thinnest smartphones available right now. And it does feel it. Feels really nice and slim in the hand. But I will say this, the V20 with its flat back, flat back, bit of a tongue twister there. That felt even thinner than this somehow. I don't know what it was about the finish. They'd done something with the design that made it feel even slimmer in the hand, even though it was pretty much the same specification on paper. It's also really light. Vivo says it's 171 grams and it really feels very light.
So in terms of lightness and slimness, it's taken the Vivo V20 body language. And just like the Vivo V20, you do get a headphone jack over here despite the slim form factor, which is always great to see.
But unfortunately, you don't get stereo speakers, which is something we don't see very often at this price point anyway. So it's not a huge deal breaker, but still, it's not there. You still get a water drop notch on that front display, which is a 6.44-inch AMOLED display, FHD plus resolution. So you are getting full HD content.
So that's the same display you got on the Vivo V20 as well. So it's very crisp. And of course, there are other smartphone makers that at this price point that are offering you a high refresh rate, like the Poco X3 does that. This phone is giving you standard 60 Hz, but then I would choose an AMOLED display over a high refresh rate any day. I mean, it would be great to get both of them, but over here, this AMOLED panel is just really, really nice. Plus, because it's AMOLED, you also get an in-display fingerprint scanner as well.
For now, let's go towards that water drop notch and that front camera. Now, that is a 32 megapixel sensor and it gives a lot of clarity. The front camera was something that was very highly advertised on the Vivo V20 as well because it gives a lot of detail and it's got a huge wide variety of functions packed in. So you get things like super night selfie, you get aura screen lighting, which basically gives you a soft box sort of lighting, fill lighting. So it lights up your face very evenly, very nicely, instead of as opposed to a proper flash, which is just really jarring. And you get things like portrait mode and face beauty filters. So on that front, the front camera is absolutely packed.
So selfie cameras, as usual, Vivo phones is a big drawing point for them. For them, that is what that's what their fans like. That's what their customers want, and they spare no expense on that regard. But can the same be said about the rear camera?
It is a downgrade from the Vivo V20 that had a 64 megapixel sensor. This here is a 48 megapixel main sensor, supplemented with an 8 megapixel ultra wide sensor that also serves for super macro shots and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. But overall, it's a good enough system. Pictures are quite crisp, colors are decent. Try not to take the same pictures you see on this phone and put them on a desktop because you'll definitely notice the difference, because that's what Vivo does with its display technology as well. It really punches up the colors. And in fact, speaking of color, the night mode is something with which I'm not super impressed. In fact, if you take a completely pitch dark scene and you try and take a picture of it, pictures nearly look black and white. It's really low on color. But then again, at this price point, I'm really not expecting a whole lot. Apart from that, it's there's no real complaints about the camera system. It also shoots video at up to 4K 30 FPS, but that's only with the rear camera, not the front camera. There is also EIS here.
Yeah, no OIS, but EIS,
electrical image stabilization. It's good enough. It's not super crazy, but yeah, it'll get the job done. So now performance on the inside is running on a Snapdragon 665 chipset, which is not the most powerful out there at this price point.
Yeah.
And honestly, we've seen better from Vivo as well, because the Vivo V20 comes with a 720G chip, which is considerably more powerful. Now, I really wish they had given a better chipset here, because it doesn't feel very snappy. In fact, when you use it against, like, let's say the Vivo V20 with that 720G chip, it is a considerably slower experience, in my opinion.
But I think probably Vivo is going, if we put the 720G over here as well, then no one's going to buy the Vivo V20.
Yeah.
So I think that's why you've got a lesser performing chip. But yeah, I mean, they could have given you a lower end, even a 710 processor. Would have been probably
because
a better
this segment is really heating up now.
Yeah.
We've even got the likes of Samsung now offering a Snapdragon 750G in the M51, and Moto One Fusion also giving
Realme
you a very
7
good
Pro
chipset.
under 20 grand gives a starting price with the 720G processor.
Exactly.
So it's, I mean, a lot of manufacturers, smartphone manufacturers are going the 700 series route, because they know that at the end of the day, they want to give their customers not just a good looking phone, but also a good performing phone. And this isn't a bad performing phone. Day-to-day stuff, it'll handle a little bit of multitasking. And the fact that it gets 8 GB of RAM, that makes a big difference.
Okay then, but my problem is the refresh rate, or the lack of a high refresh rate here, because the Snapdragon 665, even if it manages to handle daily performance with that 8 GB RAM, the high refresh rate, or the lack thereof, really it really lends itself to a slower performance, especially when compared to the Vivo V20, because it's not as snappy, animations aren't as fluid, it takes longer to open apps, to boot games, etc. So yes, the experience is slightly lower.
The Vivo V20 also doesn't get a 60 Hz refresh rate, because it has that 720G processor, things will be more fluid, and they will be fluid over here. So yeah, it makes sense.
And that also lends itself to the Android 11 debate, because the V20 has the Android 11. This is really weird. Android 10.
This is Android 10.
This came after the Vivo V20, and it comes without Android 11, so it's a little odd. It's still running FunTouch OS 11, but I would honestly say that they should have packaged this with Android 11 too, because maybe the experience would have been slightly nicer.
Well, I mean, now that is the to-go-to software. It's coming out, rolling out with other manufacturers. And the fact that Vivo was one of the first smartphone companies to launch a smartphone with Android 11, that was a big deal. So I was expecting...
it was neck and neck between that and the Pixel 4a.
So if the launch date was slightly moved, Vivo would have been the first one with it. But yeah, Google came first, no problem. But they were second. And it's a big deal in the smartphone industry, especially in India. But it still gives you FunTouch, which I will say is definitely a big improvement over previous iterations. It no longer feels like a blatant copy of iOS. They've put their own fine refinements over there. It's looking much more like a cleaner experience than before, but it's not all the way clean. You're still getting a fair amount of bloatware over here. You usually have to opt in for it. While you're setting up, it will ask you, it'll give you about 30 options. Or you can click on this, get this app, get this app. You can always say no, but still, it's something that's not needed anymore.
And there are some parts of the bloatware which you can't remove no matter how hard you try. All you can do is go to settings and disable them. But then again, I think buyers at this price point also understand that if a manufacturer is selling a phone at this price point, they are making some sort of sacrifices somewhere down the line, and they are probably making their money from all the bloatware they're putting on here, all the ads, etc.
There'll have to be some tie-ups. Companies like Realme, Xiaomi, Vivo, they do this a lot. Motorola doesn't do that. They give you one of the most cleanest stock Android experience out there, and there's a reason why their performance is always good, because of that clean experience, because you don't have that extra bloatware. And of course, no one wants spam messages to be bombarded with spam
notifications, odd, weird.
It's the most awful thing. And I think Vivo needs to lower that sort of stuff with their phones in future iterations.
In fact, I would say they should go the Xiaomi route and release one device that's completely dedicated to stock Android, like Xiaomi did with the Mi A3 series. That I think will be perfect, and in fact I think the Vivo V20 SE would have been a really good chance to do that, especially at this lower price point.
Take note, Vivo.
Now on the FunTouch front, there's also an ultra game mode and multi-turbo modes, which basically help boost performance a bit for when you're gaming or there's graphic intensive sessions of gaming going on here, which does help a bit. At least you can block notifications. RAM is freed up, there's network prioritization. So things like that certainly helps. An esports mode, dedicated esports mode, that helps. But again, like we've said before, a better chip would have helped a whole lot more. They would not have to have made those AI optimizations. They could just outright depend on the hardware to carry everything home. Overall, I would still say for day-to-day use, it's fine. It won't really have any problems. It has a 4100 milliamp hour battery with 33 watt flash charging. So that means it will last you a day with moderate to heavy usage, and charging from 0 to full takes around an hour, which is not great, but it's decent. It's much better than things like Samsung, etc. Much faster than that. So on that front, it's again pretty good, and it's still Type-C charging. So I'm glad to see that Vivo has almost completely moved off of that micro USB
thing. Okay, so in my opinion, the Vivo V20 SE is a good option for someone who is a hardcore Vivo loyalist, and B, someone who values camera performance over hardcore, specifications and hardcore day-to-day, just really strong performance. That's not what you're going to get here. But selfie performance, great front camera shots, very decent rear camera shots. That's who this phone is for. And also someone who likes a nice looking phone overall. But yeah, just keep in mind, it is a very glossy back. It will leave a lot of fingerprint smudges. So if that is something that bothers you, do use that plastic cover.
Okay guys, thanks for watching. That was our review of the Vivo V20 SE. Let us know in the comments how you liked it, whether you're going to buy this phone or whether you're going to opt for a different one, or if you think this is a great phone. Let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for watching. See you next time.
And wishing you all a very happy Diwali. Take care.